Hello, everyone. My name is Tracy Lewin.
And Mavanwe Smith. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning, Merv. Welcome to Women in Bitcoin.
Yeah, thanks, and you too.
Thank you. We're having fun with this series, aren't we? We're learning a lot.
You know what it makes us think? It makes us think of stuff that's happening on an everyday basis, and how can we help other people with issues like this, So I'm loving it.
Can I make a confession here?
What's that?
I don't think I have thought so much in the last 6 months as I'm thinking now. I'm thinking so much, I'm discovering so much, I'm learning so much, and I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, this has been the most incredible journey, this journey in Bitcoin. It totally has. And who knows, hey, one of these days, maybe in the next 10 years, I'll write a memoir.
You never know. You never know. Everybody likes to have a good book out there, whether it's on Kindle or in paper. So yes, do that.
Yeah, it's a story, really. It's a journey and it's a story. So I think it could be quite fun. So who knows? But in fact, I probably need to make a decision. There's still some time. So we're going to talk about making decisions today. And I mean, we know there's many people out there who are procrastinators. There are people who are quick decision makers. But there's an art to it as well, Merv. And let's today. Over to you.
You know what, Tracy? Many years ago, I did a course called Kepner-Trieger course, and it was on decision making and problem solving. And I thought today, let me just take a piece out of that course and share it with the listeners, because it stands you in such good stead. And it's when you have to make a decision when there's more than one option. All right. So things like, should I marry this person? Should I buy a house? Should I relocate? Life-changing decisions. You should be taking this technique. Anything, as I say, if you have to choose between one or the other. So that's what we need to do. I often hear people say, well, I just took that job because there was nothing else. Bad decision. And it usually blows up in your face at the end of the day. So there's a very easy way to start this whole thing. Usually when you come in to make those kinds of large decisions, you already, before you start the process, so let's put it that way. So let's just take buying a house, for instance. You want to buy a house, but before you go, you should make a list of the things that are absolutely not negotiable. So, for instance, if your budget is 300,000, well, that is not negotiable, or is it? If it is negotiable and you have a margin, then it doesn't go on the not negotiable list. So you're going to tick off, does it have 2 bedrooms? Does it have 1 bedroom? Does it have 6 bedrooms? What is it that is not negotiable? And you make a list of those items. Then you put down, what would you like? That if they were there, it would be like the cherry on the cake. But if it wasn't there, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And then you would maybe put things that you don't like. You would hate for it to have, I don't know, thatch, for instance. So you make a list of what's absolutely not negotiable, what you would like on top of that, what you would really like in the house, and then what you really don't like. Okay. Then you go out, you start your house hunting, and then you've got 3 or 4 houses that you've got to decide on. You love them all, but you don't know which one to choose. So what you do then, actually, I must just stop here and start giggling. I'm actually showing you with my hands. I'm like talking with my hands. Just realize what I'm doing. Anyway, so you would then take your 3 houses and you would plot them. You would take a piece of paper and plot them against your not negotiable. Which ones of those have not negotiables? If one of them, say for instance, one of your not negotiable was it had to have central heating. So if out of those 3 houses, one of them didn't have central heating, that would immediately fall off the list, and you would only now have 2 to decide with. And you would go down the list like that. And you would then have a look down the list and see which one has the most ticks, so saying, yes, that's perfect. And you would choose the one then. Then it isn't emotional. You're choosing it against something that you had desired and dreamt of before you started the decision. Does that make sense, Tracy?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's how you do it. So then you would end up with the house that you were looking for that met more of your, it would have all your not negotiables in it, and it would have the majority of your wants, and it wouldn't have any of your dislikes or didn't wants. And that's how you do it. It's actually quite simple, but I don't think a lot of people know about that little trick, and it's served me well in the past.
Well, you know what? If you don't have a plan, you don't know what you really want. And I think if you just have to take some time out to think about what you want, at least it'll get you closer to your goal.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like a shot in the dark.
Absolutely agree. You know, and I know for myself, for instance, when John and I first wanted to buy a house, I can't even remember where we lived at that time. We just decided we want to buy a house. We had no idea what we were looking for, and we just drove around. And then we went from one house to the next, to the next. And I thought, you know what, there's nothing in this place that I like. The reality is I didn't know what I wanted. And we could have saved ourselves a lot of time and trouble if we just, you know, made the lists.
And actually be truthful to ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, sometimes wanting something is also what we think other people, you know, are going to judge us on. Yes. You know, instead of saying, you know, staying true to yourself and following what you really want. You know, sometimes we do so much for others that we completely forget about ourselves.
Yeah. You know, I was listening to a speaker last night, and he was talking about a number of things, but the one part he said that he had made a mission statement, and when he had told, because they were working in a group, and when he told his group what his mission statement was, they said, no, please, man, you know, that's not right, you know, bring it down a notch, which he did for them, but it wasn't true to him. And I think he said it was like Abe Lincoln, or it was one of the guys, the presidents of America. He had done a list of 12 of his values, and he showed a couple of people, and they said, you know, that's awesome, but you've left off humility. He says, oh yeah, I have. So he added humility to his list. At the end of his life, he fulfilled the 12 and not the 13th. Why? Because it wasn't his. You know, it wasn't his value.
Amazing. Yeah. So basically, it's really just making a list of those pros and cons. And your pros and cons. Yeah. And actually going through them and ticking and just taking a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I think the piece that goes a little sort of under the hood is that you've got to have a list of what is not negotiable. I find that sometimes a little bit difficult because, you know, when something's really nice, you think, oh, you know what, maybe I don't need whatever it was. And then you make the wrong decision. So putting that not negotiable is hugely important.
You know, Merv, and, you know, talking about decisions made me think about people who are sitting out there, sitting on the fence and still trying to decide about Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. You know, there's the one mistake that many people make in their lives is overthinking things. You know, is this a scam? Is this going to collapse? Is our government's going to make it illegal? Are too many people using Bitcoin in illegal sort of activities? Is the next thing? Am I going to make a big mistake here? But in actual fact, when you start thinking about all those kind of things, and you can hear the things that I mentioned, that they are so negative, those kind of thoughts, that you eventually start doubting yourself, doubting your feelings, doubting your gut, and not taking that chance. And so it's probably also boils down to us and how we are inside, whether we're pessimists or optimists. But overthinking is just not overthinking. You kind of see problems where problems do not exist. However, if you were somebody who was an optimist, you'd start thinking about all the positive things that are around Bitcoin. I mean, this is an opportunity to create enormous wealth for yourself, even if you just buy some Bitcoin and hold on to those Bitcoin. The move in this new digital and e-commerce economy it's actually going to change lives dramatically. And I mean, I know that you hear of some, it's kind of a bit of a marketing ploy. Oh, join this business and it'll change your life. Well, actually, Bitcoin can change your life. And we know that it's the right path to take, and that's obviously why we're doing these programs, because we want to get through to as many people as we possibly can. I mean, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Merv, we've had this journey together for some time now, and all I can say is I just 100% know that I'm on the right path.
Absolutely. You know what, Tracy, when we first heard about Bitcoin and we knew absolutely nothing. And I just want to harbor a little bit on this point because it talks about the overthinking. We didn't think about it. We just jumped at it. Somehow or the other, we had listened to our gut and we knew, we just had this feeling that Bitcoin was the right way to go. And I speak to a fair number of people on a regular basis. And they want to know the ins and the outs and every last thing about how the Bitcoin works before they buy a Bitcoin. And in that time, it could be months, they've lost out huge value. And so I think that your slide here, this topic is hugely important, is don't overthink it. You don't have to know how electricity works, but you can use it, right?
Exactly.
You don't have to know how the engine in your car works, but you can get in and you can drive it. So you can participate, or you can have the joy of the benefits of the medium of Bitcoin and not understand it. It doesn't matter. Let that come later. Just get in. I was talking to a young guy yesterday, and he was saying, well, I want to go. I want to get into Bitcoins, but how much does it cost? I said, you know what? You can put in $50. You can put in 50 Rand. You can put in 10 Rand. Doesn't matter. Just get started.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that there are some issues around Bitcoin businesses. So the one thing that you would need to do, obviously, is do some due diligence and also apply some intelligence to the decisions that you're making, because there are that saying that says that if it looks too good, it probably is too good. It's probably not real, and this is true, definitely in some of the businesses that are out there. But if you just hold on to, if you just buy Bitcoin, and don't even join a company, you can actually see massive growth and awesome returns. So that's really what we're trying to say here. This Bitcoin is right at the beginning of its life, even though it's been going since it was initially shared on in 2008, towards the end of 2008, but only really the first transaction started happening in 2009. So it's taken some time to gain traction, and it's really the whole adoption of Bitcoin is really skyrocketing. I mean, that is in terms of consumer adoption, investor adoption, media, mainstream media is talking about it. Governments are getting involved. Big companies are getting involved. So everybody's kind of getting involved here. So if you're still sitting on the sidelines thinking, oh, this is a scam or this is going to disappear, well, actually, your own fiat currency, meaning whatever money you trade in, okay, rands, dollars, pounds, reals, whatever it is that you actually use to buy things, that is also going downhill. I mean, that's devaluing. And Bitcoin is actually deflationary. So because there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin that you can ever get, and because of, only 21 million ever only being created, and that's still in years to come. I mean, we've already done about 75% of Bitcoin creation, but it means that there's a dwindling supply. And when something is, when the supply goes down and demand is going up, and we can see that the demand is going up dramatically, the price is going to move. So you can actually make some really, really good money here.
Yeah,
so decide on it.
Yeah.
Because, as I've said here at the bottom here, choose to take that leap. You could be right. You could be very right. Which actually leads us to the last slide. And it's really about saying, don't call it a dream, call it a plan. Have a plan. Know where you want to go. Get on this journey, and it doesn't matter if you're starting on a little bicycle, and moving up as you go, as you go up. But on this journey, but it's just so important to start.
It absolutely is. You know what? That reminds me of a saying or a quote from Anthony Robbins, and it goes like, if you envision it, it gets exciting. If you plan it, it becomes possible. Schedule it, and it becomes real. So make a plan, put it in your schedule, and just get it done.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And you know what? We can actually go on and on and on about why people should get into Bitcoin. But, at the end of the day, they need to make that decision for themselves, They need to make that decision and then educate yourself. I mean, it's to educate yourself is free. And, follow us here, follow us on YouTube, follow us on BitMedia, and you will end up with a free Bitcoin education. And, then you don't have to listen to somebody who thinks they know about it, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely is. Well, Tracy, this was a very good session. Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, Merv. I'll see you next week. And cheers to everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.